Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode of Paymob Talks. Paymob is a financial service enabler and MENA's leading fintech. Paymob Talks is about unfiltered content with the movers and shakers of the industry. I'm Mohammad Raza, head of enterprise business at Paymob, and today we have with us a very interesting guest who has got a mix of telco and fintech experience. He is the head of business at easypaisa. Please welcome Farhan Hassan. Assalamu alaikum Farhan. क्या हाल चाल है
ठीक ठाक बिल्कुल
Thank you very much for taking out time and especially flying in for this session.
My pleasure.
Thank you. अच्छा फरहान थोड़ा अपने बारे में बताइए. Did you grow up in Pakistan or somewhere else, and how was the childhood like?
I am a Islamabad born and bred, so I've all my life mostly stayed in Islamabad. My parents were from Karachi, so I used to travel to Karachi in my summer vacations a lot. So yeah, so this place is quite familiar to me in that sense. Otherwise, like my childhood is like an average Pakistani childhood. So it's like playing on the streets, and cricket has been the part of the childhood ever since. And yeah, so like this is how we have been brought up. So
तो हम ये बड़ा सुनते हैं. थैंक यू फॉर शेयरिंग दैट. जो इस्लामाबाद के लोग होते हैं खास किस्म का उनसे चीज़ें एसोसिएट की जाती हैं या थी तो ज़्यादा कि CSS ज़्यादा करते हैं. जब हम भी वहाँ ट्रैवल करते हैं तो हमें बड़े सारे इंस्टीट्यूट्स वहाँ नज़र आते हैं. तो व्हाई नॉट इनटू दैट काइंड ऑफ फील्ड एंड व्हाई अ डिफरेंट फील्ड दैट यू चोज for as a career?
Yeah, so Islamabad, again, as a city, it has been a bureaucratic city ever since because of the government being there. So naturally, there you end up seeing and meeting a lot of bureaucrats over there. So naturally, वो एक inclination होती है career के point of view से. But my father used to work for an oil company in Karachi, and since the Ministry of Petroleum was based in Islamabad, so because of the liaison operations, he had to move to Islamabad for that. Naturally, I mean, somehow it didn't click as much as I could relate to it, that this is the career I want to be in. So, but like as a childhood, I always wanted to be a fighter pilot. So, and when I was growing up, Top Gun. Watched Top Gun, the first part. So yeah, so that fantasized me a lot, and that really gave me that motivation that I wanted to be there, but somehow the luck didn't work out there, so I ended up working for a corporate sector.
So education का अगर थोड़ा सा फरहान रन डाउन दे हमें. लोग जानते हैं आपको माशाल्लाह एज अ सक्सेसफुल हेड ऑफ easypaisa फरहान, बट कहाँ से शुरू हुआ, किस तरह की जर्नी थी, ताकि लोग जो सुन रहे हैं हमारी पॉडकास्ट वो देख सकेंगे क्या लर्निंग्स हैं आपकी उसमें.
So I mean, my childhood, like initially the primary education was in a government school actually in Islamabad. Then I moved to Islamabad Model College for boys, and I did my FSc from there. So वहाँ से करने के बाद then I enrolled in an engineering program, so telecom engineering. I completed that, and then like after working for a couple of years, I realized that my interest is more towards the business side of things, and then I ended up doing an MBA from NUST. So yeah, so that is how I have traversed through academics, and then after MBA, then it's been a corporate life.
Engineering background से लॉजिक वाला जो पार्ट था उसको आपने इम्प्लीमेंट किया अपनी MBA साइड पे. तो आई एम श्योर वो जो अब अपकमिंग जनरेशन जो है, ये जो अभी हमें सुन भी रहे हैं, जो इंजीनियर्स होंगे या जो लोग हैं बिजनेस में एक्सेल करना चाहते हैं, तो उनको ये चीज़ समझ में आएगी कि लॉजिकल होना कितना ज़रूरी है. इट्स नॉट अबाउट व्हाट यू जस्ट से इन फ्रंट ऑफ पीपल. इफ इट इज़ नॉट मेकिंग सेंस तो वो सामने वाले को भी समझ में आएगा कि नहीं बनेगा. तो आप श्योर उसको आपने किस तरह लीवरेज किया अपनी.
Again, especially if I compare post MBA time period and working in telecom sector, so मेरा ज़्यादातर काम था product development का. So it was about creating new price plans, managing that, and then marketing वाला part तो एक उसका था ही business growth के point of view से. But primarily is to basically do the analysis, do the numbers, to make sure that is it making business sense for the organization or not. So वहाँ पर it was important to have that logical mindset, to see things through and whether is if this piece fits in the bigger puzzle of the business. So that was important aspect which really helped me with, and then especially the technological side of things, because at times you think out of the box, you come up with an idea, but technically it's not possible. So that is important to have that understanding, to sit with the engineers, to understand how the technology works, how the cell network works, and how, I mean, it's important that the business you are trying to sell to the consumers, you understand that business as well. How does it work? How the technology works? How the network works? How different nodes of the business connects together, and what kind of features, what kind of services you can actually offer to the customer.
अगर मैं उस पे फरहान, सॉरी टू कट यू, अगर मैं ये पूछना चाहूँ कि अब क्योंकि टेलीनॉर के कल्चर के बारे में हमें पता है, आई वर्कड इन टेलीनॉर एज वेल, तो ओपन ऑफिस कल्चर होता है, बेनिफिट्स वाली बातें होती हैं, एंड देन वर्क कम्स लेटर ऑन इन दैट. अब आप बैंकॉक में भी रहे, आप बल्गेरिया में भी रहे, आप पाकिस्तान में तो रहे हैं. क्या लगा आपको, मतलब कोई ऐसी चीजें जो यहाँ नहीं होती थी वहाँ बहुत अच्छी हो रही थी, और द थिंग्स दैट यू ब्रॉट बैक?
Okay, so again, I mean, it's quite an interesting question, because Thailand is a developing country again. It's quite happening as a place. So वहाँ पर जो work culture था, primarily जो common theme थी ना दोनों में, बल्गेरिया में भी and Thailand में भी, there were 2-3 common themes which were there and was quite different from Pakistan. One was punctuality. I mean, that was something which was given, that if some meeting is going to happen at a certain time, it happens at that time, and everybody who is involved in that meeting, they make sure that they are there. That discipline created work-life balance, naturally, because if everything is happening on the stated time, and you are able to focus on your own work, so naturally you are able to give time to your family as well, and finish your work in due time. So naturally work-life balance was something. So punctuality was something which was a stark difference right then and there in your face kind of thing. Then work-life balance improved over there drastically. And lastly, one thing which really was an eye-opener for me was the fact that the family structure enabled women to participate in the corporate world just like a man would do. Like especially in Europe, over here as well. I mean, we are now seeing a lot of women coming into the workforce and being part of the corporate system. But still, what I see is that women are still supposed to take their responsibility. I mean, there are certain set of responsibilities which are still associated with females.
They will always be, I think.
Yes, and that was something which was quite different, especially in Europe, because like, just to give you an example, I mean, it was very common for the senior management to just skip certain meetings because they had to attend their child's parent-teacher meeting or something like that.
थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर शेयरिंग सर, ग्रेट इनसाइट्स. मतलब ये छोटी छोटी बातें, हालांकि हमें लगता है टाइम पे आना, अनफॉर्चुनेटली कुछ लोगों ने गलत प्रैक्टिस बना ली होती है उसको भी, बट टाइम पे आना, और आप ये इम्प्लीमेंट कर भी रहे होंगे अपनी लाइफ में, सो उसके रिजल्ट्स भी देख रहे होंगे.
एंड नेचुरली वहाँ पे ना, सो अनदर थिंग व्हिच हेल्प पीपल टू disconnect from the corporate world and balancing their personal and professional life is the fact that the infrastructure also supports them, because the public transport is pretty convenient. You don't need to bring in your car, look for the parking, and waste a lot of time driving to and from office. So that really gave them the time to spend otherwise. So those were the things which really helped them balance the two things. And then secondly, they have opportunities to spend time elsewhere. They have good sports facilities. They have good leisure places where they can go and spend quality time.
तो थोड़ा सा उसको हम वापस आए, अब पाकिस्तान वापस आए. So you were part of the team that launched DJuice.
Yes.
So how was that? क्योंकि उस मतलब टेलकोज ने हमेशा से ये बहुत किया है, एक चीज़ शुरू की है, फिर वो बंद कर दी है, फिर दूसरी की है, बहुत सारे यूनिट्स लिए, फिर उनको भी रिलीज कर दिया. सो मतलब ये कैसा है, मतलब एक एक्सपीरियंस के डी जूस का लॉन्च करना, उसकी सक्सेस उसको देखना, क्या इतने सिंपल चीज़ों को रखना चाहिए टारगेटेड, या एक कैसा स्ट्रक्चर होना चाहिए आपके नज़दीक?
You see, when Telenor came to Pakistan, naturally it was one brand for all, Telenor. But then over time, because DJuice was the only telco brand at that point in time which differentiated on the offering. In Pakistan, all the other incumbent ones, be it at that point in time, it was Warid, which was launched right beside Telenor. Then we had Jazz and Ufone. And Paktel used to be there, which was then acquired by China Mobile. So all those were like one brand for all, and they had only one message for the masses. But when Telenor came in and they came up with like two brand strategy, very different from the rest. And initially we got a lot of success on that. And DJuice was Telenor's international brand. So that was the case. But then with time, the competition came. Everyone started doing the price wars, and the price wars are generally not good for the industry. I mean, they reduces your revenues drastically. The ARPUs started to fall down, so naturally, Telenor had to respond as well. So slow and steadily, like everything become homogeneous. I mean, it's like more or less now, if you look at the telco industry, it looks the same. All the offers, all the package, all the bundles looks exactly the same. It's just that different operators have their own flavor.
I
to
like
it.
this one, I like
Yeah,
that
exactly.
one.
So it all depends which network you are on and which network your calling circle is on.
तो क्या
So-
ये भी एक रीजन था ऑफ योर ट्रांजिशन फ्रॉम टेलीनॉर जीएसएम साइड टुवर्ड्स इजी पैसा व्हिच यू आर हेडिंग नाउ?
So lately, अगर आपने notice किया हो कि whenever there is a network outage now, you feel the pinch and you feel the agitation कि यार call नहीं कर पा रहे आप, internet नहीं use कर पा रहे, and a lot of livelihood is now dependent on this connectivity now. So जब I joined Zong initially and then I moved to Telenor, over the period of like 4 or 5 years, काम तो exciting था ही अपनी जगह पे, but then I started to realize the impact it was creating on the masses, and people were able to do things which they were not before. And वहाँ से वो जो एक कह लें कि सेल्फ एक्चुअलाइजेशन आप उसको कह सकते हैं, या एक ग्रेटर गुड की जो एक ठीक है यार, आप जो भी काम करें, इट हैज़ टू ब्रिंग इन दैट इम्पैक्ट फॉर द सोसाइटी. पर्सनल ग्रोथ एंड I would say the career choices were revolving around three things. I mean, ठीक है, आप जब भी job switch करते हैं तो naturally it has to pay you adequately for that. But from remuneration part aside, the two things which really mattered for me was whether the work I'm doing is creating an impact for the overall society. I mean, can I see my work outside? That is important. So if I'm doing something, can I relate to that? Because in telecom as well, I still remember that whenever I used to cross a billboard or something, I used to tell my friends, see, this is the offer I've worked on. That kind of feeling is really giving you the drive to do more of those things. So that was one, that you could see your work impacting the lives outside. And then the role which you are doing within the organization, is it impactful for the organization or not? And is it like if your input is really adding value for the business? So that was important. I've been lucky to be part of the business teams which were making all the decisions when it comes to consumer offering, and when it comes to the profitability or the revenues or technologies they need to invest in. So all those things really made me realize that these two things have to be there: the impact for the masses and the role's impact for the organization. That was the key thing. So when I was moving from Telenor to easypaisa, again these two things really played their part.
वो अच्छी बात है आपकी कि एक एक्साइटमेंट आप करना वो चीज़ चाहते हैं, जिससे इम्पैक्ट हो और जो विजिबल भी हो।
Yes.
बहुत से ऐसे रोल्स भी हैं जो कि जिनकी विजिबिलिटी इतनी हो रही हो, सपोर्ट
Yeah.
साइड पे होते हैं,
Yeah.
बट इफ यू आई मीन इफ दैट गिव्स यू अ किक
Yeah.
देन इट इज नथिंग बेटर देन दैट।
Exactly.
तो थोड़ा सा इस बारे में बताइए, बिकॉज यू हैव बीन इन द प्रोडक्ट मार्केटिंग फंक्शन, यू हैव बीन ऑन द बिजनेस साइड एंड ऑल। मार्केटिंग के बारे में लोग जनरली ये तस्वुर करते हैं, सेल्स से अगर स्पेशली हम पूछें कि भाई वो तो सिर्फ कॉस्ट सेंटर है, मार्केटिंग करते हैं, प्रोडक्ट बना के दे देते हैं, बेचते तो हम हैं और हम वॉल्यूम ला रहे होते हैं और हम रेवेन्यूज ला रहे होते हैं। सो हाउ डू यू सी दैट रोल, मतलब इज इट अ कॉस्ट रोल या उसका क्या रोल है इंडस्ट्री में या ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर?
Yeah. So again, marketing has a very clear role when it comes to, especially जब हम fintech की बात करते हैं. टेल्को के अंदर भी रहा है, टेल्को के अंदर भी we have seen how marketing has played its part. But fintech के अंदर it becomes even more important for people to know and for people to trust the service, because that is really important. That when the financial matter comes in, the trust factor becomes the key, and people who could see that I can do certain things using that certain brand. So you might be, I mean, the sales teams are, you are right, they go out there in the market, bring in the new customer on board, but it's the marketing which makes people believe what they are buying into. So I think marketing has a very clear role, and in like at easypaisa there is no such confusion in terms of why and what. I mean, it's not a cost center, honestly.
Aptly said, and I am
Yeah.
sure a lot of my marketing
Yeah.
friends will be really happy
Yeah.
after hearing that. थैंक यू वेरी मच फरहान, आपने शेयर किया कि किस तरह से ट्रांजिशन हुई टेलीनॉर जीएसएम साइड से इजी पैसा की तरफ। अच्छा, इजी पैसा को अगर थोड़ा हम एक्सप्लोर करें, हम अपने एक्सपीरियंस में भी देखते हैं कि फोकस इजी पैसा का शुरू से रहा एसईसी की तरफ, और बहुत सारा काम भी हुआ, फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन भी हुई, एक्टिविटीज़ भी हुई, बट मार्केटिंग का फोकस हमें थोड़ा लगता था कि एड्स जो बनते थे वो थोड़े फैंसी साइड पे, एफ्लुएंट सेगमेंट को देख के बनते थे। तो क्या मतलब अभी भी ऐसा ही है, या उसमें एडिशन इजी पैसा में अब ऐसे लोगों का भी हो गया है जो नॉर्मल एससीबी या दूसरी एप्स यूज़ करते थे और वो इजी पैसा यूज़ करने लगे? आपका क्या उसके बारे में ख्याल है?
इस क्वेश्चन का आंसर जो है ना, आई मीन इफ आई लुक एट इट, तो इसको थोड़ा सा मुझे टेन्योर में इफ आई कुड एक्सप्लेन,
प्लीज।
बिकॉज जब इजी पैसा लॉन्च हुआ था, so it started off as a over the counter service, primarily for bill payment and money transfer on CNIC. तो ये एक बेसिकली दो बेसिक सर्विसेज थी जो कि इजी पैसा ने लॉन्च की थी, और ये रिटेलर्स के थ्रू होती थी. दीज वर एजेंट असिस्टेड ट्रांजैक्शंस, एंड दैट इज हाउ पीपल वर एबल टू डू दैट. फिर ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ टाइम वी वर एबल टू ओपन मोबाइल वॉलेट्स फॉर द यूजर्स. अच्छा, उस टाइम के ऊपर द मोबाइल वॉलेट्स वर प्राइमरली, in fact it like only the Telenor customers were able to open their account, because we were hosting the whole platform on the Telenor network. अच्छा, अब उसकी वजह से, so Telenor essentially was very strong in the rural areas of Pakistan. So naturally जो uptake आई थी, that initially started coming in from the rural areas, and need भी जो उस वक्त address कर रहा था mobile wallet, small ticket size, bill payments and money transfer on CNICs, they were primarily a rural need, जो कि उस time पे we were able to, people were able to do that. So naturally वो जो initial एक traction मिली easy पैसा को, that traction came from the SECCD segment of the society, और वहाँ से. And then over the period of time, we added more services to the wallets. Essentially 2016, 2016 में हमने अपनी app launch की थी. That was probably the time when any other customer of any other network besides Telenor could open a mobile wallet. And then वहाँ से फिर चीज़ें उसके अंदर ऐड होना शुरू हुई. सो और उसके बाद फिर उसके अंदर डिफरेंट यूज केसेस आना शुरू हुए. सो इनिशियली बिल पेमेंट थी, मनी ट्रांसफर थी, फिर वॉलेट टू वॉलेट ट्रांजैक्शंस, वॉलेट टू बैंक ट्रांसफर्स, दीज थिंग्स वर एडेड. देन एयर टाइम परचेज वाज एडेड ऑन टॉप. आप अपना मोबाइल का लोड आपने परचेज करना है, वहाँ से परचेज कर लें. सो दीज वर द प्राइमरी सर्विसेज जो कि वॉलेट में अवेलेबल थी. एंड देन फिर आहिस्ता आहिस्ता, as we attracted more customers from the other networks, so then essentially it it started, penetrating in the SECBs and SECAs, where people were able to see the benefit of having a mobile wallet, where they don't have to, because हर बैंक की अपनी एक इंटरनेट बैंकिंग का भी एक था एजेंडा, लोगों के पास ऑप्शंस भी थी कुछ बैंक्स की कि वो जाके उनकी वेबसाइट पे जाके बिल पेमेंट वगैरह कर सकते थे, बट देन अगेन द चॉइसेस ऑफ बिलर्स वर लिमिटेड, द इंटीग्रेशंस वर not as expensive as we had on easypaisa platform. So naturally wahan se we started gaining traction on different other SEC segments of the society. एंड देन उसके अंदर एक जो रोल प्ले करता है वो रेगुलेशन का भी था, बिकॉज इनिशियली जो हमारे पास वॉलेट्स के अंदर अकाउंट्स खोलने की जो ऑप्शंस थी, दे वर वेरी लिमिटेड व्हेन इट कम्स टू द अकाउंट लिमिट्स. People were not able to open a higher limit account on mobile wallets. With time, those limitations also, got relaxed, and then new regulations came in, which created new avenues for us to open higher, limit accounts. So now, if I look at it, so we are probably industry's biggest player in when it comes to digital accounts. Hassan digital account. It's an initiative by State Bank of Pakistan where they allowed mobile wallets to go as high as 1 million limit, 1 million rupees limit. They could do transaction up to 1 million. They can keep a balance of 1 million in their mobile wallets. So we are touching about 1 million users over there.
फरहान थोड़ा ये भी बताइएगा, यकीनन बहुत एफर्ट हुआ. इट्स बीन व्हाट 2009 से इजी पैसा का मैंडेट लाइसेंस मिला हुआ है, 14 इयर्स माशाल्लाह. सो जो वॉलेट की ग्रोथ हुई है वो बहुत ज़्यादा हुई है माशाल्लाह. अभी जो नंबर होगा, फिर भी हमें लगता है कि अगर हम कंपेयर करें इंडिया से या बांग्लादेश से, सिमिलर मार्केट से, जिस तरह हम जिनके मतलब साउथ ईस्ट एशिया में अगर हम कंपेयर करें, सो हमारे नंबर्स उनके मुकाबले में अभी भी काफ़ी हमें नीचे नज़र आते हैं. उसका क्या आपको रीज़न नज़र आता है? मतलब क्या वो यूज़ केसेस का मसला है जो हम नहीं क्रिएट कर पाए, या कोई और ऐसी चीज़ें हैं जो आप समझते हैं कि वो सॉल्व हो तो ये पेनिट्रेशन और ज़्यादा बढ़ेगी, डिजिटल एडॉप्शन बढ़ेगी?
अच्छा, सो देखें, जहाँ तक नंबर्स की बात आप कर रहे हैं, सो इजी पैसा माशाल्लाह, लाइक if I look at the numbers, 1 in 4 Pakistanis have a registered mobile account with easypaisa. And if I look at the monthly active users, 1 in 10 Pakistanis are using, the adult population who can open a bank account. 1 in 10 Pakistanis are using it every month for their transaction. But yes, you are right. When you compare the numbers with India, they might look on the lower side. So there are a couple of things which also play a role in that. India ke andar there have been certain regulations which have been passed, which has really propelled the industry forward. Ek unka demonetization ka initiative tha. People had to open a bank account by law. It became more of a obligation on their end, that otherwise they would lose the currency they had. So naturally, at that point in time, if a common Pakistani had to do it, what would be the least resistance? What would be the way to with the least resistance to open a bank account? Is it going to be a mobile wallet, or is it going to be a bank account? Naturally, it would be a mobile wallet. So that created that kind of environment within the society where they could easily do it, because they had to do it. They could do it. Secondly, the government has taken a few initiatives regarding the MDRs on QR payments, because many a times we feel that the technology, people are technology averse, or people don't want to do the banking. They don't want to come onto the banking side. But many a times there are other barriers which are letting people not to get onto that, especially when it comes to the merchant side. So India really increased the banking penetration through their merchant payments. Be it your normal Kiryana store payment, or booking a ride, or paying the rickshaw wala, or everything. So those things were were made easier because they could offer those services, knowing that they will not be charged anything on top of what customers were paying.
बड़ी अच्छी आपने बड़े एलेबोरेट करके बताया कि रेडीनेस है. मतलब अगर हम इजी पैसा की साइड से देखें या वॉलेट प्रोवाइडर की साइड से देखें, तो वो उनके पास इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर भी है, सिस्टम भी बने हैं, प्रोसेस भी बने हुए हैं। गवर्नमेंट साइड के ऊपर जैसे आपने क्यूआर वाली बात की इंडिया की, तो अब हम जैसे रास्त को भी देख रहे हैं।
यस
सो यही एम्बिशन आई बिलीव है। तो आपको क्या लगता है कि रास्त के प्लेटफॉर्म से ये क्या डबल डिजिट ग्रोथ या हाइपर ग्रोथ में हम इसको देखते हैं वॉलेट्स को जाते हुए?
एग्जैक्टली देखें, इंडिया में ग्रोथ जो फ्यूल की है वो यूपीआई ने की है, एंड दैट इज समथिंग जो कि that has been a game changer for the overall industry. Same is something which we are witnessing over here as well. After Rast, because एक सिस्टम हो जो कि आपको कॉस्ट ना करे, people are able to make their transactions free of cost. That is, that will create that kind of trust on the banking sector that people would need. देखें, कैश ट्रांजैक्शन क्यों इतनी प्रीवेलेंट है? बिकॉज जितनी भी कॉस्ट एसोसिएटेड हैं कैश ट्रांजैक्शंस के साथ, वो सारी एम्बेडेड हैं उस ट्रांजैक्शन के साथ. कस्टमर्स डोंट सी दोज कॉस्ट्स सेपरेटली. अदरवाइज अगर वैसे आप देखें तो देयर इज अ प्रिंटिंग कॉस्ट इन्वॉल्व इन करेंसी नोट्स, देयर इज कैश मैनेजमेंट कॉस्ट, देयर हैज टू बी अ सिक्योरिटी van which moves around the city to move that cash in different banks, and there is insurance cost associated with that. So all those costs are embedded in those cash transactions. You just go to the ATM, take the cash out and give it to somebody. You don't see those costs popping out separately. So that is the reason why it seems more easier for the masses. Having said that, Rast is going to change all that, and that is the key differentiator which will inshallah pivot the scale or tip the scale in favor of the banking side, because people would now feel the ease, because they already are because those who are on the banking services, those who are using the wallets, they are getting the other benefits as well. Digital lending is one, because the more transactions you do on the platform, the more usage you do, you are able to borrow money from the bank. That is something which has not been the case before. Or if you keep doing cash transactions, nobody will ever lend you money. So that is something, because banks need to know your credit worthiness, and that can only be possible if you show the kind of transactions you are doing on the platform, what kind of inflows you have, what kind of outflows you have, and based on that we can create customized offers for you, and that is how they can take the benefit of digital lending as well.
अच्छा, गवर्नमेंट के रोल की आपने जिक्र भी किया कि ये जो रास का प्लेटफॉर्म बिल्ड किया है, और भी चीज़ें आ रही हैं, लाइसेंस के ऊपर भी हम आएंगे। तो क्या ऐसी चीज़ें हैं जो कि पेमोब भी इज़ अ फिनटेक ऑपरेटिंग इन द मार्केट, यू गाइज वर एन EMI, इंशाल्लाह विल बी अ डिजिटल प्रॉपर डिजिटल बैंक। तो कितनी इम्पोर्टेंट है ये रेगुलेशंस, और किस तरह की रेगुलेशंस आ रही हैं आपको लगता है कि जो फ्यूचर में हमारे लिए कामयाब रहेंगी?
तो देखें, government and state bank, they are quite serious when it comes to financial inclusion and forwarding the financial inclusion agenda as a whole for the country, because हमारी कुछ limitations भी रही हैं, economic challenges भी कुछ ऐसे हैं कि we need to document the country as soon as possible. IMF के प्रोग्राम्स की एक बेसिक जो शराइत होती हैं, उसके अंदर रिफॉर्म्स की तो बात होती हैं, फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन की बहुत एक उसके अंदर एक की मैंडेट होता है कि यू नीड टू डॉक्यूमेंट द इकोनॉमी. सो उसके अंदर द स्टेट बैंक इज वेरी फोकस्ड व्हेन इट कम्स टू द रेगुलेशंस दे आर ब्रिंगिंग इन. DRB is one where they have recently gave 5 NOCs for the digital banks to come in Pakistan. So वो एक चीज़ अच्छी हुई है. Secondly, जो अभी रास्त के ऊपर हमने we have already touched upon, but that is something which is going to change this whole dynamic for everybody, for EMIs, MFS, and the commercial banks. Everybody will benefit out of it.
ये क्वेश्चन है, मुझे लगता है काफ़ी दिनों से मैं पूछना चाह रहा था, एंड थैंक यू वेरी मच, मुझे अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलेगी आपसे पूछने की। वो ये है कि हम अपने फुटप्रिंट्स तो छोड़ रहे हैं डिजिटल। मैं इजी पैसा की ऐप भी यूज़ करता हूँ, उसको पता है कि मैं कब ट्रांजैक्शन करता हूँ, किस चीज़ के लिए ट्रांजैक्शन करता हूँ, कब उसमें फंड्स डिपॉजिट करवाता हूँ, बट मुझे अभी तक ऐसा प्रोडक्ट नहीं मिलता, आई एम नॉट सेइंग जस्ट इजी पैसा, कहीं से भी, कि मुझे वो बताए कि रज़ा यार ये टाइम आने वाला है तो तुम्हारे लिए ऐप पे मुझे पुश आ जाए, ये प्रोडक्ट रेडी है, या तुम इतने फंड्स रखते हो जो कि तुम 15 डेज तक यूज नहीं करते हो, तो हम तुम्हें ये प्रोडक्ट पुश कर दें या ये सोल्यूशन पुश कर दें। तो क्या ऐसी चीज भी हम देखेंगे डिजिटल बैंक्स के होते हुए?
Exactly. I mean, you have touched upon a very important question in terms of what kind of innovation banking sector can bring in for the user. अभी तक मैं अगर commercial banks की बात करूं तो primarily cash management हो रही है वहाँ पे, आपके पास cash है, आप जाके branch में जमा करा दें, वो रख लेंगे. No bank actively gives you the products which you need. I mean, they just open the bank account and
There's
put the
one
money in
product for all.
one product for all, right? So digital banks, yeah, easy player like easypaisa, for us it's really important that we tailor those services and create that kind of we call it value creation for the user, that people feel that my usage on this wallet has given me certain, or this wallet is giving me certain value जो कि मुझे किसी और जगह से नहीं मिल रही. So just to give you an example, I mean, we launched our savings product on easypaisa last year. In just 8 months, it crossed 1 million subscriptions on that. It was one-click subscription, no documentation, and zero interaction with the physical, or you don't have to submit any documentation for that. So, or daily payouts. So अभी तक कोई मतलब आपको इस तरह से easily available कोई ऐसा saving product नहीं था जो कि आपको daily payouts दे. अच्छा, अब वो हमने pitch again इन्हीं जिस तरह आपने अपनी example दी, उसी तरह के ही customers को हमने pitch किया, those who were keeping certain deposits with us, and we said, okay, fine, you are keeping those deposits, why don't you invest in a savings account,
Absolutely.
which can give you a certain return on your investment, and that return would be daily, and you don't have to give us any new documentation, you don't have to visit any branch or any physical location. Other aspect is the digital lending. People are using mobile wallets and they have been using it for a while, but what kind of services they receive from the bank is really important. Based on their usage on the wallet, now they can get up to 15,000 rupees as a digital loan from us. Secondly, buy now pay later is one such example, where we have incorporated it into our airtime use case, where you just need to if you are purchasing an airtime, you have an option. If you don't have the mobile deposit at that point in time, you can just simply purchase it using that buy now pay later, and you can return it later. So these are the kind of tailor-made services for people, for masses, and these are like embedded in your product journey.
Hey, thank you very much for sharing the exciting products that you guys have built based on the footprints that we are leaving on easypaisa app. This brings me to the last question, which is, now that you have got the NOC for the digital retail banking license, what changes from easypaisa? Because we know easypaisa is doing wallets and everything.
Yeah.
What will change now?
So it's a very interesting question, because ये सवाल जो है वो it's not just your question, it's also a question coming in from within the organization as well, that people are asking that what essentially is going to change after getting the NOC, and if we get the license to eventually launch a digital bank, what would essentially change, what we were not doing and what we will be able to do. So I mean, just to give you a perspective, so we do feel that we are a digital bank. There is no limitation for us to have a physical presence. I mean, we can run our operations digitally. We are actually running our operations digitally. So it's the augmentation of other services which will enable us to give even more enriching services, or enriched services, which are probably not at the moment because of the license limitation. So currently we operate under MFS license, which is a microfinance license, and within that license there are certain limitations, especially when it comes to consumption lending, when it comes to cross-border payments, and when it comes to within lending sphere, the limits through which on which you can provide lending to the user. So those limitations will eventually, once the DRB comes in, and if we get the license, so we hope that the limitations which will be taken off on certain areas will help us, provide even more services to our users, and which will enable them to fully experience a full-fledged bank digitally. We are now opening up for the businesses out there. So what easypaisa is trying to do is to basically move away from a walled garden approach and more towards an open platform where different banks even and different financial services or different products can just seamlessly integrate with us and start pitching their products to the users out there. So we have quite a healthy base on our platform, and we are hoping that more and more players will join hands, and then we can create a true super app experience for our users out there, and which will benefit both the businesses as well as easypaisa.
It's a very open approach.
Yeah.
And kudos to you guys for being that open. And I'm sure because the vision is to facilitate all the users that you have right now. And if you provide good service and a rounded solution to their needs, then they will be with you for a longer period.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, Farhan, for the time. Now towards the fun segment. So Farhan, I will ask a couple of questions and I would want you to give candid response on them. Okay, the first one is, there are 3 movies that I'll give you the names of. Which one would you choose and why? So the first one is Lord of the Rings, the second one is Bourne Identity, and the third one is The Dark Knight. Which one for you and why?
I would say Bourne Identity, because firstly because that is the one which I have seen all the parts.
Okay.
So yeah, and I mean, like, it's actually it's hard to pick one of them, but if I were to choose one, then I would pick Bourne Identity, because the kind of character Jason Bourne played in that, always changing realities and always trusting his own guts and trusting his own mind rather than anybody else or the environment around. So that was really must have been like the way they have depicted and the way they have executed. I believe that really really excited me about the movie. So yeah, I would pick Bourne.
Great pick.
Yeah.
So the second question, Farhan, a quick yes or no on that.
Okay.
So did Leonardo DiCaprio wake up at the end of Inception?
Well, I was reading that he was recently he just mentioned that he's still confused about the ending, but I believe his DiCaprio's cop was awake, and I believe he got reunited with the kids. So
there is
my
no
answer would be yes.
there is no right and wrong in that,
Yeah,
right?
so I believe yes.
Okay. And the third one, if you're giving an opportunity for a day to choose an athlete, who would Farhan be and why?
Maybe Usain Bolt.
And why is that?
The flamboyance, the athleticism, the kind of the level of fitness to be able to achieve what he has achieved is remarkable. So I believe, yeah.
A great choice. Huh?
Yeah,
I must say. And the last one, what was the first thing that you searched or wrote on ChatGPT or on the other AI platforms?
Actually, it's quite an interesting thing, because I use it quite frequently now at work. So I hope nobody is listening there. But yeah, so like I had to write a product brief. So I was just having a brain fog moment at that point in time. So why not try ChatGPT? And it gave me a good skeleton. So
that's good to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, there are ways of using things.
Yeah. So that's how I started using it, and then but yeah, product brief was the first one.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Farhan, and thank you very much for the time, for being on Paymob Talk.
Thank you.
Lovely having you here.
Yeah, it was my pleasure, and thank you for inviting me over.
We wish you a safe journey back home. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching this episode. Please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.